Welcome back to Big Dan's Airguns. Today we're wait, who are you?
Oh, no, not this time you don't. Come here. With that out of the way with, it's time to inject some class into this channel. Welcome back to Big Dan's Airguns. So today we're going to be taking a look at this all-American, but actually Turkish, Reximex Lieva. I don't know how you say it, I just know how to shoot it. As always, we're going to be looking at features, handling, and seeing how it is downrange. And yes, we will even put it through a chronograph to see just what numbers this rifle gives us. With that said, let's move on to features and see just what you get for your hard-earned. So then, ladies and gentlemen, features. What do you get for your cold, hard cash?
So as always, we start off at the rear of the rifle. Yes, I'm still wearing the cowboy hat if you're wondering. So at the rear of the rifle we have not really a recoil pad. I don't know, I can't really tell if it's plastic or if it's actually the walnut, sort of a walnut strip, we'll call it, that's sort of mimicking the real life Winchesters with sort of like the darkened bit of trim that they had at the rear there. It's quite a flash, whatever it is. Coming further up, we also have a lovely bit of walnut. Coming further along, we get to the underlever cocking system, which is, we'll talk more about it in the handling section, but it is superbly made. It's also got magnets built into it, so it doesn't flop around inside of a rifle case. You can see here it's locked itself back up simply through magnetic force alone. It's a really nicely finished bit of kit, this, and I love the leather wrap going around the lever itself. Brilliant. As we come further along, we also get to the trigger and the safety that you can see at the top of the trigger here. Despite the way it looks, it is actually an adjustable trigger, but we'll talk a bit more about that as we go further on. As we come further up, you can see the really nicely finished sort of cowboy on his horse logo on the side, and the Lieva printed on the side as well. That is really nice. You can get this in black, but I personally, as you can see, we have the silver model here, and I think it just looks so smart in the silver. Let me just pan out a little bit there we go, so we can perv on it just a little bit. That is a good looking gun. As we come further down, you can see the breech is actually on the underside of the rifle with this, which is quite interesting. Then as we come slightly further along, we also get to the walnut forestock. Then as we come up, we get to the regulator, which usually you don't get with imitation air guns, but it shows that Reximex are taking the lever, however you say it, a lot more seriously than most. And with the regulator on top, that does in fact mean that the air cylinder is actually above the barrel. So unlike the real rifle where the barrel is on top, the barrel on this is underneath. Interesting design choice, but quite a clever one. Speaking of the barrel, as we move along, you do also get 1/2" UNF thread, if you can see that there. It's great to have. I personally don't know what silencer you're going to fit on there, considering its proximity to the air cylinder, but it's nice to have. We of course also get a full set of open sights, as you can see here, which are adjustable. There's also a dovetail rail fitted into the rifle, so you can also fit a scope. However, we're not done there. As we come down, you also get 2 multi-shot magazines as standard, and the probe is also a Foster probe, which is a massive upgrade. That's not the only upgrade, however. As we move along, we have a brand new single shot tray. Now, I don't know if all the rifles are coming with this updated model, but that is a huge improvement over the older one, and I'm looking forward to having a go at it and seeing what we think. So features wise, you do get quite a lot of kit for your money, and it's quite surprising to see how they've sort of pushed the boat out for this, considering that, again, it's a sort of reproduction imitation air gun. A lot of these are usually CO2, something along those sort of levels. They're never really full power. This is advertised as full power, but we'll find that out later on, as we always do, and we'll check for shot count as well. But the fact you get a regulator with it, it's full power, and to be fair, the build on it as well is extremely good. However, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, because we haven't put it in the shoulder yet, we haven't shot count tested it yet, and most importantly, we haven't shot it down range. So before I say it's a surprising target gun, or would make a fun and interesting, maybe even hunting gun, we really need to find those things out first. And so with that said, let's move on to handling and see what we think. But before we get there, let's have a little look at those mags for those that haven't had a Reximex rifle before. Okay, so loading the mag. Easy or difficult? First thing you're going to want to do is grab the tray and spin it around. You'll feel when you do this that the spring is coming under tension. What you want to do then is if you hold it in place, ideally use your middle finger to cover up the pellet hole here. Otherwise, you know what sod's law is, the pellet's going to go through the top, straight back out the bottom again. With your finger covering the hole, put the pellet in just like so, and that'll lock that spring under tension, and now you can see I can freely move the tray on the top. So with that done, simply load the rest of your pellets through, just like that, and then you are basically done. So essentially, if you've had, I mean the Kral mags are very similar, if you've loaded a Kral or a Reximex before, you won't have any issues with this at all. So, with mag loading out of the way, let's move on to handling. We shall now pause this broadcast as a Spitfire goes over, if you can see it. Listen to that. Nice.
Okay, so handling them, what do we think of the Reximex Lieva rifle? Well, to be fair, it's like a piece of Americana with the added bonus of a tasty, zesty shish kebab. It is beautiful. Genuinely, it is a really nice gun. Again, and stupidly fun, I've got to say it. It's also lighter than what you'd think, you know, because looking at it, you think, I bet that's going to have a bit of heft. It doesn't. Again, could be because of what walnut you have. I mean, there is a lot of it, but not as much as a normal gun, like a full-on rifle stock. But walnut itself is also quite a nice and light wood, so genuinely, it's, dare I say it, a featherweight in the hand. It's quite a slender, and to be fair, proportions-wise, lovely made thing. I've got to say that. What I would also say, again, it's not perfect, and we'll go into that in a minute, is when it comes to, obviously, the most important part of an air gun is how it performs, but when it comes to the fun factor, this is quite possibly the most, in fact it's not quite possibly, it is, it's the most fun to operate PCP I've ever used, and I genuinely mean that. Again, you tell me how you're not going to smile like a small child at Christmas by doing this. Just simply loading it, cocking it. Again, make sure you watch me say this and I load the mag in back to front, but yeah, just simply operating it, which I'm doing very well right now. There we go. Yeah, by simply operating it, I mean the underlever, not loading the mag. To be fair with you, that was me fumbling it then. It's obviously because I'm not really looking at what I'm doing. But when it comes to operating it, it is so much fun. I've got to say that. I mean, how do you not smile when you do this? Come on. It is tremendous fun, I've got to say that. The underlever, there's a little bit, you can feel you're loading a pellet in when you return it back. Although to be fair, we are using Norma Golden Trophy pellets, which are a stonkingly good pellet, but they're very solid. So it might be that that's giving it that little clunk as it comes back. Either way, can I be honest, and this sounds like salesman talk and I don't even care. See, I told you I was a cowboy. But no, genuinely, the clunkiness almost makes it feel more mechanical, if that makes sense. I actually kind of like it in a weird way. I won't like it if it ruins our groups later on, but we'll see about that a bit later. But handling wise, it's lovely. The safety, don't really like them in trigger blades. To be fair, it's probably just a me thing, but it just feels a bit to me like, again, my fingers are on the trigger at the minute. Again, it's not a hair trigger. You might be able to make it one. It is adjustable, but, and that leads me on to my next nitpick. To adjust the trigger, you got to take the buttstock off just to get to a little screw in there and have a play with it, which again, hopefully, if I got time for it, you'll be seeing pictures of that any second now. Bit of a faff, not really the end of the world. The other thing I don't really like is the fact, I'm not going to point it at you, but the pressure gauge is on the end of the barrel. If I just tilt it like that, maybe you can see it, I don't know. It's on the end right on top of the barrel. I don't like that at all. But again, it's a sacrifice with the design. Where else would you put the gauge? Because if you put it back here, you're getting regulated pressure. If you put it further up, sticking out the side like an FX and things like that, or the new JTS Braun, it's kind of going to ruin the lines of the gun. You can't really do it. So it's a sacrifice that was made. Maybe it's a nitpick. I'll leave that up to you at home. In general though, it's just so much fun. Right, I'm going to play with it a bit more if you don't mind. So now we'll look at trigger pull. So safety off, that usually helps. All right, make sure, is it cocked? Nope, it's not. All right, so cock it. Right, so the trigger is more of a single stage than a two stage. So if you watch my, there you go, I'll point it a bit more like that. So if you watch my trigger finger,
You can see there was no real stop, was there? It just pulled through. What I will say, sorry, that's just fun. What I will say is the single stage trigger is actually quite nice. Now I know again that sounds like salesman talk. I've always had a soft spot for a good single stage, and you do feel it weight up before it breaks. It's sort of like a fake second stage in there, but it is genuinely quite nice. Let's do that again. It's not a heavy pull neither. Let's do the little finger test and we will show the proper test. Hopefully I've got a picture of that as well for you. Do you know what? That's getting smoother the more I'm doing it, if you can see that. So a little finger, easy peasy. There you go. I actually saw the underlever bounce a little bit then, obviously when my hand isn't there to keep it in place, but it is also another nice little feature. It's magnetised, if you can see that there. So if I don't even have to push it the whole way up. You can see it latching itself back together. That is really nice. It will stop that lever from flapping around inside the rifle case and such like that. But no, that is just so much fun. Right, we have 7 shots off, or 7 shots left. So let's get them off now, shall we? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, empty. Oh, we had 6 shots. I take that back. See, he's not only is he not a pretty face, but he can't count either. But genuinely, that is a fun gun. I got to say it. The open sights are also quite nice. They are fully adjustable. They're a little basic, but at the end of the day, I've not seen the original Winchester, to be honest. They might have been the exact same. That is a really nice gun. And there's no scope on it as well because, let's be honest, we all know already, if you've watched this channel, I am a bit of a tart where looks are concerned. It just looked wrong with a scope on. So when we do the accuracy test, obviously it'll have one on there, but for the handling, I thought, nah, I'm putting a scope on that. It's an underlever PCP. I don't want to chuck a freaking Hubble telescope on top and completely ruin the look. No, 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 no. We're doing this old school. That, dare I say it, to operate at least, is the most fun PCP that I've ever shot. I gotta say that. But we're getting ahead of ourselves because it might shoot round corners and it might be doing 2 foot-pound. So let's get the chronograph out. We'll see what she's doing. Then after that, we will push on to the shooting range and have a little bit of fun. So handling wise, I do like it quite a lot. And now for accuracy testing. As always, we'll be doing our first test at 25 yards, and then we'll take the best pellets and then push on to 50 yards.
Goddamn useless British weather. Yeah. Try that again.
Well, you'll definitely be able to tell when it likes a pellet or not, because some of those were all over the place. That said, we had a pretty good result with the JSB Express, with a 4-shot cluster coming in at only 0.32 of an inch, and the whole group sits under a 20p piece. The FX pellets did pretty well too, it must be said. One thing I will say that may have hurt the Express group slightly is that this is possibly one of the worst tins of JSB pellets I've ever had. I had to sort through the pellets just to find some that were usable. Usually they are superb, but sadly this just looks like a really bad tin. So with that sorted, we'll be taking both pellets now to 50 yards and seeing just what the Lieva can do. Well, that was interesting. Both pellets put out 3 lovely shots, and 2 that were sadly in different postcodes. Both had 3 pellets under a 5p coin, but I will give the nod to the FX pellets, as the misses were right on top of each other. With more leading in and better conditions, this could not just be a seriously fun airgun, but a surprisingly accurate one as well. The question is now, what to do, to be honest, with all this leftover lead from the JSB Express tin. Maybe next video we'll do like a mini tutorial or something on how to clean and size your pellets and bring dead pellets back to life. At the end of the day, lead is lead, and I'm sure we can do something with it. No.
I don't think so. No.
What do you mean, no?
Son, I'm about to teach you the ancient art of magus dumpus.
What?
Load me that mag, son. Oh, yeah.
Oh, come on, don't look at me like that from behind your computer screen. We both know that had to be done. And we also know if you get one of these, you're going to be doing it as well. And with that bit of scientific testing out of the way, it's time to move on to the final verdict. So, the Reximex Lieva. What do we think of it? Well, as we always say, no rifle is perfect, so we'll list the nitpicks first. For starters, if you're a larger gentleman such as myself, you may find the rifle a bit uncomfortable for bench rest shooting. This is mostly due to the shorter length of pull and the low comb, which makes it awkward to cycle and shoot. You can't see it on camera, but during the accuracy test, I had my hand outside of the lever grip just to reach the trigger. You'll also want to use low mounts or a cheek riser if you intend to do some target shooting, as with a larger scope with bigger mounts, your cheek will probably be off the comb. The trigger is also a bit more basic than some of Reximex's other offerings, being a single stage unit at least out of the box. That said, it isn't a heavy pull, and I actually quite liked it. The open sights are also limited in that you cannot adjust them horizontally without any vertical adjustment, as the winglets are obstructed by the scope rail. Granted though, this is only an issue at very, very close range. At most ranges, this won't be a problem. Finally, I'm personally not a fan of the exposed air inlet port. To be fair, it's a nitpick this. It'll probably 99% of the time be fine, and I'm sure later models will probably come with something maybe to block that off. It's a nitpick, it's a niggle. Now for the positives, however. This rifle, for me at least, has actually done the impossible. Reximex has made a PCP airgun that is fun to shoot. The regulator is also a lovely touch and gives the rifle a higher shot count than expected, especially when you see just how piddly the air cylinder is. That said, there is definitely more potential to extract here. You may have heard some hammer bounce during the shot cycle. I sense tuners and tinkerers will enjoy tweaking and tuning the lever. Just mind your warranty, of course. Can I also just say the rifle is absolutely stunning to look at as well. This one is the marine or silver version, although you can also get the rifle in black. The walnut stock is absolutely stunning, and if the lever action didn't make this rifle stand out, then the wood certainly will. The lever, unlike many imitation airguns, is also full power, and surprisingly accurate as well. It lost its shine slightly at 50 yards, but I don't think anyone will complain with our 25-yard express group. With more lead down that barrel, I've got no doubt this will be a genuinely accurate rifle. The fact the barrel is even threaded for a moderator is a nice surprise, even if fitting one looks like it could be a bit awkward, thanks to its proximity to the air cylinder. In short, this rifle likely won't replace any dedicated target guns, but when it comes to smiles per mile where PCPs are concerned, it can't be beat. And thanks to its lightweight and excellent balance, it can be enjoyed by pretty much anyone. And with that out of the way, and if I don't see you again before the 25th, I want to wish you all the merriest of Christmases and a happy new year. And we'll see you all in 2026.
Hey, I'm feeling all festive.
Oh, please don't.
Hey, let's sing a song.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light?